Hello everybody. In continuation to the process flow development of the system engineering, next comes software engineering process group. Just like a system is developed in a methodic manner, software also is developed in a very methodical, organized, systematic manner. And let's see this systematic procedure in an elaborate fashion. Now this diagram I am sure everybody is familiar with, the upper diagram, the SWE1, SWE2, SWE3, SWE4 and SWE5 I have clearly explained in the sessions about the system engineering. Next comes the software engineering process group. Now software engineering process group is the next step, or rather it is a subset of the system engineering process group. Okay, that's the reason I have given you the exploded view or the elaborate view of the software engineering process group in the lower part of the slide. Now I am going to explain to you very clearly and elaborately what are all these various steps. What is this SWE1, SWE1? Usually in OEMs or tier ones, many people, many engineers, they address it as SWE1, SWE1, SWE2, SWE3, SWE4, SWE6. There are 6 steps in the organized methodical process of developing a software. Now what are all these steps? What are the base practices? What are the outcomes? We will see in this session in an elaborate manner. Now first comes the SWE1. Now what is this SWE1? The process name is software requirements analysis, and the process purpose is the purpose of the software requirement analysis process to transform the software related parts of the system requirements into set of software requirements. Now this is very much equivalent to the SWE1 of the system engineering. Just like you identify the system requirements, in the SWE1 you require the you elicit the software requirements. Okay, I repeat this sentence. SWE1 is the equivalent of SYS1 in software development. Okay, now let's see what are the various process outcomes. Now what are all the various process outcomes or outputs that happen after this particular system SWE1 process is completed? The software requirements to be allocated to the software elements of the system and their interfaces are defined. So what are all the various elements of the system? What are these interfaces? They are clearly outlined. They are clearly identified and outlined. Next comes software requirements are categorized and analyzed for correctness and verifiability. Okay, so how correct are they? How verifiable are they? This is very important. They should not only be correct, they should be verifiable or they should be testable. Because if the testability is not there, then the veracity of the software requirements cannot be checked. Okay, so that is the reason this second outcome is very important. Now third is the impact of the software requirements on operating environment is analyzed. Okay, so this very much takes into consideration the ambient atmosphere of the software environment. So what are all the various interfaces? What are the various surrounding components? All these things are clearly double checked. Next comes point number 4, prioritization for implementing. Okay, let me take a pen. Prioritization for implementing the software requirements is defined. Now this word is very important, prioritization, because there are plenty of software components and all of them can be implemented, but the order of implementation, which comes first, which comes second, which comes third, this prioritization is decided in the next step. Next comes the software requirements are updated as needed. Now after the first 4 steps are thoroughly implemented, you come to the step number 5 where actual software requirements are updated as needed and they are outlined. Alright, next step 6, the consistency and bidirectional traceability. Now if you have gone through the systems, you would have clearly understood what is meant by traceability, what is meant by bidirectional traceability. I very clearly, elaborately explained you in the system engineering session. So I hope, I assume that you clearly understand what is this consistency and bidirectional traceability. Consistency and bidirectional traceability are established between system requirements and software requirements, and consistency and bidirectional traceability are established. Not only are they identified, they are established between the system architectural design and software requirements. The software requirements are evaluated for cost, schedule and technical impact. The software requirements are agreed and communicated to all the affected parties. Alright. Now, what are the base practices? What are the base practices that are comprised in this SWE1 step? The first base practice is specify software requirements, use the system requirements and system architecture and changes to the system to identify the required functions and capability of the software. Now, this is the base practice 1. Now, base practice 2 is structure the software requirements in the software requirement specification. For example, grouping the project relevant clusters, sorting the logical order of the project, categorizing based on the relevant criteria of the project. Now, this is important, categorizing based on the relevant criteria, because it should be very clear about what are the relevant criteria, what are the important criteria. Based on that itself, it can be categorized. And prioritizing according to stakeholder needs. Prioritizing according to the stakeholder needs. Okay, in the previous slide I explained to you what is the importance of this word prioritizing and why this prioritizing is such an important act when it comes to the software development. Next comes the base practice 3. What is the base practice 3? You analyze the software requirements. Once you identify and outline, you analyze them. Okay, what do you analyze them for? You analyze them for technical feasibility, you analyze them for verifiability, you analyze them for risk identification. Okay, and again this verifiability is extremely important because, as I already said, once a particular software requirement is identified, it must be testable to ensure the veracity of the software is double checked. Next comes the software BP4. Analyze the impact on the operating environment. Analyze the impact that the software requirements will have on the interfaces of the system elements and operating environment. Okay, now analyze the impact that understand this very carefully. What is the impact on the surrounding environment? So on the various interfaces, on the various elements, and on the operating environment, all these things should be clearly analyzed. And next comes the base practice 5, which is the developing verification criteria. Develop the verification criteria for each software requirement that define the qualitative and quantitative measures for verification of a requirement. Okay, so in this base practice 5, you develop the verification criteria. All right, for example, should it run for 300 hours, or there are various types of testing like unit testing, integration testing, acceptance testing, system testing. Okay, all these various types of testing criteria are developed in the base practice 5. Next comes the base practice 6. Now this is again very important, bidirectional traceability. Now, as I already said, this traceability is important because you need to understand if at all anything goes wrong, which exact aspect can be traced back to. Next comes the ensure consistency. Ensure consistency between system requirements and software requirements, and communicate agreed software requirement. This communication is extremely important. You have to communicate the agreed software requirements to all the stakeholders, okay. Now this communication is important. This communication is extremely important because all the stakeholders are aware of what are all the final outlines. Now, what are all the output work products? What are the various work products which are coming out as a part of this SWE1? First is this communication record, next is this review record, next is this change control, next is this traceability control, next is this traceability record, analysis report, interface requirements specification, software requirements specification. Okay, so these are the important work products that are outputs or the end result of this SWE1.